College football has its share of unusual records because of mismatches, stacked teams, sometimes arbitrary rules, and a huge data set to work with. We occasionally see records that simply can't be broken, like Georgia Tech putting on the epic 222-0 beatdown of Cumberland in 1916. Here are 5 unbreakable Division I football records that don't have a chance of getting scored on. Before I get into this, I want to thank SeatGeek for sponsoring this video. SeatGeek is a mobile app that aggregates ticket prices from all over the web and gives them a color-coded rating, lets you know if you're getting a good deal, gives you a sneak peek of your seats, and lets you buy your tickets safely and securely right on your phone. I, in particular, like seeing the view from my seats, especially in odd ballparks where you might end up facing the parking lot. Don't forget to download the SeatGeek app in the link below and enter in the code FPG in the Me tab and receive $20 back on your first order. Now, let's get into this. Number 5, most receiving yards in a single season, Trevor Inslee, Nevada. In 1999, wideout Trevor Inslee of the Nevada Wolfpack had an amazingly productive season. The diminutive Inslee, who stood only 6 feet tall and weighed 190 pounds, racked up 2,060 yards in only 11 games. He also led his team in TDs with 13, which was tied with his running back, Chris Lemon. Inslee, who would go on to play sparingly in the NFL, is the only college receiver ever to rack up more than 2,000 receiving yards in a season. That's more handling of balls than Khloe Kardashian last year in the NBA. Number 4, Chuck Nelson, most consecutive field goals, Washington. Reliability is very important if you are a kicker, and nobody was more reliable over a 2-year span than former UW Husky Chuck Nelson, who made 30 in a row during the 1981 and 1982 seasons. What I like about this record is you really can't say he got it by overmatching scrub defenses. It's kind of like golf where, other than worrying about bad snaps and such, it's basically him versus the post. Nelson was named the MVP of his team in 1982 and was actually a highly touted draft pick. Ironically enough, Nelson really wasn't that good in the pros, playing for 5 years and only making about 66% of his kicks at the next level. And we all know sometimes you're great in college and then so-so in the pros, am I right? Number 3, touchdowns thrown in a game, Dave Klingler, Houston. Some college records can be the result of lining up against inferior competition. With so many schools fielding teams and no real way to police the practice of matching up teams with cupcakes during the regular season, sometimes you get a wonderful matchup where one team just kicks the tar out of another. And in November of 1990, Dave Klingler of the Houston Cougars got to feast on an Eastern Washington defense to the tune of 11 touchdown passes. Yes, you heard that correctly. Klingler threw for 11 TDs in an 84-21 trouncing that was so bad Eastern Washington had to reserve therapy sessions afterward. All in all, Klingler was 41 for 58 with 452 yards, and he left the game with 8:24 to play. And you know what a butt whipping like that gets? A damn, son. Klingler would go on to have a pretty lackluster NFL career, playing for the Bengals and the Raiders from 1992 to 1997. Number 2, Gerald Holloman, Louisville, Al Worley, Washington, most interceptions in a season. Okay, this record is really interesting because it's been done by 2 players very far apart in years and under very different conditions. But let's get something clear. 14 interceptions in a college football season is a shitload of interception. So let's start with Al Worley, who in 1968 played for the dead last Washington Huskies in what was then the Pac-8. I looked at all of the opposing QBs he had to face, and none of them were really world beaters. In fact, the most notable competition Worley faced was against the pre-murder OJ and the USC Trojans. Now for Gerard Holloman, who accomplished his 14 INTs in 2012 playing for the Louisville Cardinals in the Big East alongside Teddy Bridge. What's a little different about Holloman's record was he sucked up 14 picks in 13 games and saw twice the passing attempts Worley saw. And he didn't see many good QBs either, as the best one he faced was Jacoby Brissett with Florida and some guy named Munchie Legault on Cincinnati. Still, if the ball is thrown your way, you got to catch it, and these 2 guys did that. What's even more interesting is neither of these guys played in the NFL, as Worley played 1 season in the Continental Football League, and Holloman was drafted by the Steelers in the 7th round but was cut before he got to the NFL. But he'll always have Munchie. Number 1, most consecutive Heisman trophies, Archie Griffin, The Ohio State University. I haven't really stressed up until now how unbreakable these records are, but when you look at what Archie Griffin did in 1974 and 1975, you really have to marvel at his accomplishment and also understand that it is nearly impossible to break his record of 2 consecutive Heisman trophies. In 1974, Griffin ran for 1,695 yards, and the following year he racked up 1,450 yards as he led the Buckeyes to their 3rd and 4th consecutive Rose Bowls. Griffin didn't face much comp in the Heisman voting as he beat out Anthony Davis from USC and Chuck Muncie from Cal respectively. What makes his record unbeatable, however, is that winning the Heisman is much harder than simply being the best player in college football. Nowadays, it's a PR-filled campaign brought on by both the schools and the player in order to boost both of their profiles. I mean, come on, Joe Theismann changed the pronunciation of his name just to win the statue. And today, there are a bunch of things that would prevent someone from winning it twice in a row, let alone 3 times. Number 1, Griffin is the only 2-time Heisman winner in its over 80-year history. So that tells you they like to give it out to new people every year. Number 2, it's only been given to a freshman once, and we all know how that worked out. And playing off that, no way anyone these days, after winning 2 Heismans in a row, is staying another year in college. Sorry, but Manziel, for as dumb as he acted off the field, learned one thing. The time to grab cash on the gridiron isn't when you are in college. Griffin, like all the others on the list, went on to have a pretty average NFL career, much like some Heisman Trophy winners that only got 1. Ah yes, college sports, where the average to above average get a chance to do something outstanding, and then go on to host game day or something. Agree with my list? Think I left any off? Leave a like, comment, subscribe, and if you really like me, hit that notifications button so you can get updated when I upload on the fly. And don't forget to download the SeatGeek app and enter in FPG in the Me tab for $20 off your first order. And finally, I'm 5 Points Vids, and you made it to the end of this video.